Ladies and gentlemen, this came out on Bloomberg.com, November 29th, 2018. Some of you might have heard Michael Cohen is now singing like a canary and, putting out all this information regarding Trump and Russia. A clear link between Trump and Russia is now out in the open. A new Mueller court filing describes how Michael Cohen negotiated with the Kremlin about a Moscow business deal during the 2016 campaign. Woo! Cohen looked like somebody punched him in both of his eyes. All right. The key revelation of Michael Cohen's new guilty plea is this. Justice Department Special Counsel Robert Mueller is one step closer to showing links between Trump's business interests in Russia and his conduct as a candidate for president. The criminal information filed by Mueller's prosecutors in the Southern District of New York states that in a period that lasted until the middle of June 2016, Cohen asked a press secretary to Russian President Vladimir Putin for a meeting with Putin in Russia as part of a deal that would have led to a Trump Tower being built in Moscow. And according to the document, Cohen spoke to Trump about the deal more than 3 times during that period and asked Trump and other senior campaign officials about a Trump trip to Russia in connection with the deal. Cohen is pleading guilty to lying to Congress by saying these negotiations had ended by January 2016 and by denying that he spoke to Trump about them. The details that emerged in the document are fascinating and rich, but the main takeaway is that Cohen and others in the administration organization were actually doing a Russian deal that linked Trump emerging presidential candidacy with his business interests in a Moscow Trump Tower. And Trump knew about it to a degree yet to be revealed. Until now, many have speculated that there must be a link between Trump's business interests in Russia and his campaign conduct. The Cohen plea provides more concrete evidence of such a link. Now for the specifics. The story told by the criminal information runs like this. Starting in September 2015, the Trump organization was pursuing a deal to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. Cohen was working on making the deal happen. In mid-January of 2016, someone described as a U.S. citizen third-party intermediary was identified as an individual too, suggested to Cohen that he contact Putin's press secretary for approvals from the Russian government. Cohen emailed Putin's press secretary twice on January 14th and January 16th, 2016. On January 20th, Cohen got a call from the press secretary's assistant. They spoke for 20 minutes and Cohen described the deal. The next day, January 21st, individual 2 wrote to Cohen that he should call them about Putin because they called today. That began a period of negotiations lasting 6 months. Apparently, the Russians' goal was to get Trump to travel. So they wanted Trump to visit Russia and meet with Putin. Cohen asked Trump and other campaign officials about Trump's traveling to Russia for the meeting. Cohen would go to Russia ahead of time to negotiate the deals. In May, things heated up. Individual 2 emailed Cohen explaining the state of play. I had chatted with Moscow, he wrote, assuming the trip does happen. The question is before or after the convention. Obviously, the pre-meeting trip, you only, can happen anytime you want, but two big guys were sick. The question, I said I would confirm and revert. The email, those are my neighbor's dogs. Ugh, so frustrating. This email makes clear that there was a close connection between Trump's status as a candidate and the visit. Cohen wrote back about my trip before Cleveland, where the Republican National Convention would be held starting on July 18th. The Trump would travel to Russia. Okay, so Trump would travel to Russia once he becomes the nominee after the convention. Individual 2 told Cohen that Putin's press secretary would like to invite you as his guest to St. Petersburg Forum, which is Russia's Davos. It's June 16th through 19th. He wants to meet there with you and possibly introduce you to Putin or the Russian Prime Minister, Dmitry Medvedev. Over the next month, individual 2 sent Cohen the paperwork for a visa, which Cohen seemed to have filled out. The trip looked like it was a go to Cohen, but it was called off around June 14th, 2016, when Cohen met individual 2 at Trump Tower to tell him it wasn't happening. According to Cohen, the real estate deal was also off at that point. The document doesn't say how or why Cohen's trip was canceled. The most logical possibly is surely that Trump's campaign advisors told him that he couldn't go to Moscow after becoming the Republican nominee. So what does it mean? What does it all mean? Well, Trump and his supporters will no doubt insist that Cohen and individual 2 are freelancing, not really representing Trump or the campaign, but the fact that Cohen kept Trump in the loop by asking him about possible travel to Russia strongly suggests that Trump knew the negotiations over the Moscow Trump Tower were continuing during this period. Trump supporters might add that it isn't surprising to discover that Trump didn't stop his business negotiations with Russia just because he was running for president. Yet it remains significant that those negotiations were happening with Putin's office directly, not just with real estate developers in Moscow. Trump supporters can also point out that the deal was canceled. Nevertheless, it seems likely that the deal was killed, not because Trump realized it was wrong, but because outside advisors told him how, they just told him how bad it would look if he continued with the deal. Cohen's latest revelation on their own don't constitute evidence of a crime or impeachable offense by Trump. However, they do show that Trump was part of a negotiation that linked his status as a candidate to his business interests in Russia. They bring Mueller's team an important step closer to explaining Trump's Russia ties during the campaign. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why Trump won't just admit it. You know what? I do believe he had ties with Russia. I really do. And Trump's reaction on Twitter is giving it away. He has gone out there blasting Mueller and the investigation, acting like it is something that he wants to hide. And, if he would have just stayed quiet in the background, he probably could have created some doubt in this whole thing. But he done went all out in the open, firing people over this whole thing and just making himself look guilty, in my opinion. So, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think of this latest dramatized Trump. This is more drama coming out of the Trump administration because we never get a day without it. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.